Hello everyone, welcome to a new chess video. In this video, we're going to see a super aggressive trap. That's going to give you some very good results in your games, because most of your opponents will fall for it. This trap occurs when we play d4 and they respond with d5. As you can see, these two moves are very popular. Therefore, we'll be able to use this trap on many occasions. How does this trap start, chess teacher? Well, on the second move, we give away the most important pawn we have in our position. Chess teacher, you've gone crazy. As I always say, yes, I've gone crazy, but this works. So here, what happens if we give away the most important pawn of our chess game? What happens if they capture it? Well, here we're going to make a series of moves to leave your opponent totally without any chances at all. Before, the possibility of playing f3 was studied here, but this wasn't very feasible. Since they weren't forced to capture, they could counterattack with e5. And it doesn't seem like the best option. So new lines have been developed with better options. And that's why I'm making this totally brutal video. What are we going to do here first then? We'll develop our little knight to c3, directly attacking this pawn, which, if they want to keep this extra pawn, they'll have to defend it. It's important, above all, not that you memorize the moves, I always tell you, but that you understand why we make each move. That's why these videos are so nice, because we can learn a lot from each one of them. The most normal thing here is for them to defend it with knight f6, since they won't want to lose this pawn, and they can also defend it with a totally normal development. And now, it's our turn, and now it's time to play f3. Now it really works. 3. The most normal thing is for them to capture, and I'll explain why. If they don't capture this pawn, we're going to capture it ourselves, and we'll be much better off with a pawn center, and we'll have also recovered the pawn we were down. Therefore, here they have to capture, and here they stay with an extra pawn, waiting for us to retake with the knight, and for the development to continue with an extra pawn for them. What happens is that we're going to retake this pawn with the queen. Now, we're already creating some slightly silent threats, but our opponent has to be very attentive because we already have a queen starting to attack. Let's assess the situation for a moment. This pawn is now totally in the air. They can capture it from us. And besides, I'll tell you something else. They should capture it from us, because if they don't capture it, we're left simply with one last pawn. We'll defend it with bishop e3, and our position will be much better because we'll have the center. If they manage to capture this pawn, which is actually what they have to do, black is up 2 pawns, and it seems they more than justify the position. It's true that we have open lines for our bishops, but our opponent has 2 extra pawns. Here, it looks like we're quite a bit worse off. But nothing could be further from the truth. Here, they're falling right into our trap. We're going to play none other than bishop e3, as we said before, attacking this queen, which has to retreat. Since this queen is in the center of the board, we can choose, that gambit sacrifice pawns to gain initiative and attack. Well, in fact, here we've given away 2 pawns and we're gaining a lot of initiative, attacking the queen, which has to retreat. And let's see where she can retreat to. A very logical and dangerous idea for black here seems to be placing the queen on b4. Why? Because it's attacking this point, which doesn't seem easy to defend. And besides, she can always retreat again. Therefore, here and in the future when this bishop is no longer here, so it seems like a very safe square. So let's first evaluate this option, queen b4. And how do we get out of it? The first thing you need to know is we're going to castle, which seems like a huge mistake, and now I'll explain why. Surely many of you already see why it looks like a huge mistake. Yes, it defends this pawn here, but black has a very good move that we'll see in a moment. First, let's quickly evaluate the position. We have our king safe, whereas the black king still needs a few more moves to castle. Now we can bring out both our bishops, while our opponent can only bring out one and has the queen very exposed. But here, as you can see, black has the move. I don't know if you found it, bishop g4, which looks super strong. It attacks the queen and it attacks the rook. A totally spectacular pin that it seems we can't get out of. But here we have a completely unexpected move, which is knight b5, giving away the queen. Here, our opponent will think we've gone crazy because we're giving away the queen. But nothing could be further from the truth. If they capture the queen, thanks to the castle rook, we would jump with the knight to c7, and we would deliver a spectacular checkmate because the rook would cut off the king. Therefore, this queen can't be captured. They have to try to provide a path, an escape route for this king. The most common move here is e5, to give him an escape route upwards. It doesn't seem like the best move, but anyway, let's analyze how we finish. If they play e5, since it's the most common move at this point, there's a totally impressive move, and I challenge you to pause the video to see if you can find it, because it's a very difficult move to see. I'm telling you now, I'll give you a hint that the first step is to give this check with the knight, and the king, since this file is cut off, has to move no matter what. Here. How can we continue? This is the star move. Let's see if you can find it. Pause the video for a moment. Alright, now I'm going to tell you what the totally incredible move was. Queen takes pawn, giving away the queen. It's practically impossible for you to find the move, but if you found it, you're a genius. What is the reason for deflecting this queen? We're deflecting this queen, giving away the queen. The reason is to come in now with this bishop to deliver a brutal checkmate. The queen from here was defending the square. Now she's not. We deliver a brutal checkmate, since this knight covers these two squares. We would deliver a totally spectacular mate. You're flipping out over this aggressive line, right? Well, let's keep looking at variations because it's spectacular. And now comes the best part. First, as you know, we give away the most important pawn in the position. Here, our opponent will already be thinking either that we're very bad or that we've gone crazy. So let's continue with the line. As you know, not f3, but knight c3. Remember, it's more important to understand the position and why we do each thing to be able to apply it in your games than to learn the moves by heart. Although if you learn them, you can also literally replicate what we're doing here. Knight f6, now defending this extra pawn they have, and now we will play f3. They have to trade with us, because if not, they'll be much worse off. And instead of capturing with the knight, we'll capture with the queen to create multiple threats. We've said that this pawn has to be captured, because if not, they'll be quite a bit worse in the position. We continue with bishop e3 attacking a queen that has to move, and we're going to keep seeing what happens when they come here, because there are more options. You remember, right? When they attack us here, we have to castle, letting them pin our queen with the rook, which seems very scary. But we don't have to worry, because this is a mistake, and I'm showing you how to punish it. Let's see. Here, we're threatening this knight jump, as we said before, and we saw that e5 was a mistake because we gave checkmate by sacrificing the queen. But many of you will tell me, hey chess teacher, you don't need to play e5 to stop this checkmate. I can play knight a6, and I directly defend this square, and you can't do anything to me. Well, yes, I can. Here, it's important to capture this pawn. We're going to capture the pawn next to it, attacking the knight, attacking above all the rook to give checkmate. And now here, they can play this move right here, attacking our queen and with x-ray the knight. Therefore, we couldn't take, since they would take our knight and they would also be attacking our rook. But nevertheless, here we have a totally masterful move. We have a checkmate in 2 moves. Come on, I invite you to find it. Pause the video to see if you're able. And now, yes, I'm gonna give you the solution. The brutal solution is queen takes rook. We sacrifice the queen with the goal of deflecting the knight's defense, and when they capture our queen, now we jump in with the knight for checkmate, because the rook, as always, thanks to the long castle, is defending this entire rank. Therefore, we just took here, okay? We just took here. We've seen that rook to b8 solves absolutely nothing, since we can sacrifice the queen to deflect the defense and deliver a brutal checkmate. Therefore, we have to look at different solutions for black, and it seems like a very good one is to place the queen here, trying to trade queens, therefore keeping the advantage. And also defending this rook here with X-ray vision. Before continuing with this spectacular variation, I have to thank you. The channel is going stronger than ever after the rough patch YouTube put us through. Thanks to all of you. So if you keep up the usual support, I'll be forever grateful. A like, a comment, subscribing, it all helps me out. That's how we grow more every day. Thank you all very much. Now then, how can we act if they defend with the queen? Over here? It seems complicated. Well, the correct answer is to take the knight with the queen. Why? Because we're removing the direct defense, and now we are threatening. Checkmate. Therefore, black has to react. They can react in several ways. The most logical is to take the bishop with the queen, because they also give check and force us to move. Now, if we pin ourselves with the rook, it wouldn't go well, because then this would practically be removed from here, because they could come with the rook, extreme pins, not yet, but it would be dangerous for us, okay? Here, we have to move the king calmly, and it's true that now they could take our rook or many other things. For example, let's see if they take the rook. If they don't take it, anyway. Watch out now. Dirty minds in the chat. If they don't take it, no, seriously now, if they don't take that rook, we're still winning. But if they do take it, even more so. Because we're going to play the queen here. We're going to give a check. If the king moves, we're going to enter with the queen. We can enter through here. And if they block exactly the same, we take the rook. Jack. And this is already totally lost because they have to give up the knight. Let's take it. This position is totally won. Let's set up the critical position then. I'm going to go through it a bit fast because we've already seen this many times. If it's not clear to you, you can look back a little bit. On the board, f3, e takes f3, queen takes f3, queen takes d4, and now bishop e3 attacking this queen. We return to the critical position where we've been studying. What happens if the queen comes here, but what if the queen comes over here? Trying to force a queen trade, which seems to put us in quite a bit of trouble. Well, to see this, we're going to look at a real game between two very strong players. Right now, I don't recall the name, to be honest. I was looking for it earlier, but I can't remember. And this is very important because we're going to see it in a real game. Later on, you'll be playing real games against real people, so we need to see how people behave, and it's very important to understand these moves. Once the queen is attacked, we're not interested in trading, since in a gambit, you know we shouldn't give away too many pieces. If we trade queens, we're left without many attacking motifs, so we'll retreat her calmly to the f2 square, and we're going to continue the game from the black pieces side. Here, the black pieces look to, as always, trade pieces. Since they're attacking the queen and the knight, we have to trade. So they were traded, and now they attack. This point, right here, the white pieces castled. Therefore, we're following a pretty similar plan. Here, the black pieces played a6, a bit passive, to try to avoid this check here, which seems like a good move. And here, the white pieces play knight f3. Why did play knight f3? Well, knight f3 has a brutal threat right now because they're threatening to jump with the knight, threaten the queen, and also, with the discovered attack, hit this point right here, taking advantage of the file. Therefore, the black pieces, here they played f6 without thinking, to avoid these very dangerous knight jumps. There was a very interesting move here, which was to come with the rook through here, threatening this queen that was in the center of the board. And we take the chance to bring out a rook, then the bishop, and then double up rooks. But here in the game, bishop e3 was played, also a good move, threatening a queen that had to retreat, and in fact, she retreated to the a4 square. Why? To attack this point right here. Here, the white pieces played a move that was too passive, which was a3, and here they had a move that I'm going to show you that's totally spectacular. They had this move here to come with the queen, trying to enter through this point, and the king here, pretty much exposed, wouldn't be able to do practically anything. Therefore, they'd have to block this path with the most logical move, e5. And here there's a checkmate in 5 moves, totally spectacular, which is practically impossible to see if you want. You can stop the video, but it's very hard to see, and here I'm going to show it to you. We sacrifice the bishop here. Look at this beauty. How we love enjoying this wooden board. How we love it. I think it's the best investment I've ever made in my life. Come in here with the bishop, it's just like I tell you about other channels. Most show it on a computer, and it's not enjoyed as much, in my opinion, as here on a real board, honestly. Watching these videos with a little coffee or something, honestly, even I watch them. Let's get back to it. I'm getting sidetracked. Sacrificing the bishop. When they take, we enter with the queen, check. The king has to move. Now we enter with the bishop, check. The king has to move. And now we finish it off with this totally brutal checkmate with the knight, since it can't be taken due to the queen's pin. This wasn't what happened in the game, but it could have happened, and it was wonderful. I wanted to show it to you because it was super beautiful. Therefore, we go back to the game where a 3 was played and things were prepared a little better and a little without risking so much because he probably hadn't seen this combination. So let's continue with the game because it really was also wonderful. As I say, here they played e3 and black continued with the knight over here. Several development moves took place, such as, first of all, placing the queen over here on the same diagonal as the rook. The bishop was developed, and he put the other rook in the center. Also, looking over this point right here, the pieces had been placed in a way that they wanted to give a brutal attack to the enemy king, who quickly castles so as not to be here in the center, which seemed very, very dangerous. How did the game continue? Well, the white pieces, what they did was to withdraw the bishop a little bit back, same as black, to make way for this d5 pawn and be able to develop their other bishop. Therefore, here, white has placed the pieces in a way to be able to blow up this long castling starting with this move right here, giving a brutal check to the king, which now there are two ways to continue. Moving the king or playing the move d6 or playing the move d6, two moves. Very logical, but both end exactly the same. In the game, e6 was played. So let's see how it continued for the white pieces to be able to blow up this position, as it is super beautiful. If you want to pause the video, as always, and this is already the last exercise that I leave you, you can try to solve this exercise yourself. There it goes. The white pieces performed. Rook takes pawn, sacrificing the queen and sacrificing the rook. And we're going to see that it's spectacular. First, what happens if he takes our queen? If he takes our queen, we simply come with the rook all the way to the end. Double check, they can't take our rook, nor can they move the king away, because it's a double check and the king can't go anywhere. Therefore, if he takes our queen, checkmate. On the next move, this is here. There it is. Let's also see what happens if he takes the rook, which is what happened in the game. Well, he simply took the bishop, check. This king has to move away, and now we sacrifice the queen for the rook, and when they take our queen, and when they take it, rook takes knight, checkmate, which gives us a totally brutal lesson that this opening, this very aggressive trap, is very powerful. And if you are attacking players, you will really like putting it into practice. If you want, you can put it into practice. I hope you loved this video. I've had a great time, as always, with you. Then, tomorrow, I'll be reading all your comments, as I always do in the daily video. You already know that a like gives me a lot of strength to keep uploading daily videos, and the same for a subscription if you like this channel. And activate, above all guys, activate the channel's bell, because that way, every time I upload a new video, YouTube will notify you and send you a notification. So I hope you love this wonderful video, that you save it, and that you share it. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.